Stop with the questions. Celebrate.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual? Trust me, I'm like a smart person. Yosemite's one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Mike Lindell's a conspiracy.
Well, you haven't. Person, woman, man, camera, TV. They said nobody gets it in order. It's actually not that easy, but for me it was easy.
Amazing. He can't sit down. He's got a burning in his butthole. He's got a fire. He's got a flame coming out of his butthole.
Big, massive dumps.
Oh, I have a term for that. I call it corporate communism.
Somebody sent me a thing this morning where they're talking about putting the vaccine into salad dressing.
You see, this is a simple meme that you would find on the internet, but this meme is very real.
You ain't seen nothing yet until you see the flaming butthole.
Putting us on our knees to China.
Now witness the firepower of this fully armed and operational battle station.
There's insanity in the control room.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the nation, right here, Waldorf Nation. Welcome. It's this special earlier edition of the, it's not really a special. I'm just gonna do some news stories for y'all. But yeah, it is New Year's Eve. So happy New Year's Eve to all of you who have, not already gone into the next day. No, it's a show. We're live. Right now, at least, and we seem to have the connection issues fixed for the moment. Everybody cross your fingers and whatever. So we'll have some fun. We're gonna do some stories here. We got Mike Pillow, of course, Pillow Talk, as usual. The last one of the year, actually. We got Alex Jones going off on Trump. Fun times. Where's Ron DeSantis? That is a good question. Where is Ron DeSantis? He's become the new Carmen Sandiego. Fun. We have Rand Paul from yesterday that we didn't get to. All this stuff. So we're going to have some fun. Let's jump into it. Why are none of the men that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein on trial? That's a good question. That is a very good question. Yeah. That is an excellent question. I don't know the answer to that. Maybe, well, it could be that these powerful people are in trouble. But anyway, so let's see. One here is a question here. I think there is a question. Don't know. All right. Anyway, where in the world is Ron DeSantis? Indeed. All right. So let's jump into Pillow Talk. Oh, this is terrible news. Oh no, terrible news. Betty White passed away. Well, God damn it. That really ruins the day, doesn't it? At 99, she was about to have her 100th birthday. Damn. That is horrible news. What that damn you 2021, haven't you taken enough? No, they had to have the final the last thing to take from us. Damn you. No, she Betty White was amazing. And hell of an icon. And just, yeah. it sucks. Terrible news. So, yeah, condolences to her friends and family. And 2021, you suck. Let's just say that. 2021 sucked balls. Hopefully 2022, even though it doesn't seem to be much like it's gonna get much better, it's probably not gonna get much better. As good as it gets, folks. Good as it gets. Actually, you know what? I feel like it's pretty much since 2016, everything has just been going downhill. Just downhill since 2016. Disaster. Disastrous. All right, so that's terrible news. But yeah, sad day for America. All right, let's move on. Let's get to let's lighten up the mood and make fun of Mike Pillow. What y'all are here for? Fans of Mike Pillow are becoming increasingly fed up over his litany of failed predictions. And he is not happy about it, which means it's time for another episode of Pillow Talk.
God gave me this platform. I already know I'm going to win. China did our vote. Biden and Harris would say, hey, we're here to protect the country, and resign. Mike Lindell's a conspiracy. But you haven't. Just forget about the evidence. This was attacked.
MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell is livid over people questioning his unshakable belief in reinstating former President Donald Trump to office. In fact, I have a video here of him going and essentially blasting some of his viewers for just asking him, hey, what about those predictions, man?
That was 100% a bot or someone just calling in, knowing I'm Facebooking Live, and to destroy that. So I had to hang up, and it's things like that. And people say, oh, come on, Mike, come on. I mean, I've lived it. They attack, it's relentless. They have went far and wide. You think when you watch, you see some of this stuff going on. But the good thing is like I've said, I'll read my bots and trolls on Facebook. It'll say, Mike, you keep making promises. I don't see Donald Trump. I don't see this and whatever. And I'm going, you guys, those are bots and trolls. Any real person out there would know that we're doing everything we can. And if that person that's doing that, that's someone, so everybody gets antagonized and go, oh, Mike Lindell keeps making these promises and promises.
Oh, I mean, he keeps making these promises, and if somebody actually calls me out on it, it must be a bot, it must be a troll. I love how he says, well, we're doing everything that we can. Yeah, I have no doubt that he is. But as I've explained 1,000 times, there is no actual legal mechanism through the courts or through Congress to reinstate a president who legitimately lost an election. Yes, to be fair, there are other means of reinstalling a former president. You know what we call those? Treason. We call that treason. That said, are there trolls and bots on his Facebook page? Of course. Trolls are everywhere. There are probably trolls watching right now that are trolling me. Hey, by the way, thank you for the engagement. You're only helping me grow stronger. Yes. Give me that beautiful engagement. Feed the algorithm for me. Yes. But among those bots and trolls, I'm sure there are certain, there are people that are certainly wondering, hey, Mike, where's the beef? Points if you get that reference. Now, again, he went on to refer to his promises of Trump reinstatement in the next video here. Take a look.
I'm just optimistic, everybody, because I'll tell you what, it's going to happen. We have truth on our side. God's on our side. This is a battle of good and evil. I don't care what anyone says. This is not a public or a political thing, everybody. And there's two buckets here.
All right, there's two buckets here. You've got extra crispy, and you've got Colonel's original flavor. And what was I talking about? That's right. I missed lunch. Did we have lunch? Mike, come on. No, I'm just optimistic though, because we have truth on our side. No, you don't. We have God on our side. This is a battle of good and evil. No, it's not a battle of good and evil. If God exists, and that's an if in my view, I'm guessing that whatever they are, okay, is not sitting here deciding who is going to win every election in the United States. And if they did, by the way, well then obviously God chose Joe Biden to be president, which makes me even more suspect of God. Because we could have had Bernie. All right, anyway. Now, the thing is that if that's the case, and our elections and everything is already predetermined by some creator, well then wouldn't that negate the necessity of voting? I mean, why vote in the first place if Sky Daddy picks it for you? None of that makes any sense, which again, this is why I'm not a religious person, it's why I'm a humanist, and most importantly, why I believe in actual democracy, not divine right of kings, which is essentially what that would be. But understand that people like Mike Lindell do believe in the divine right. They're anti-democratic. And I don't mean Democratic Party, they're anti-democracy. Now, Lindell, he's also a true believer in all of this crap. And one of the people that I kept saying over and over and over again, he's gotten high on his own supply. Never get high on your own supply, dude. Just don't do it. I think Mike Lindell thinks that he's some sort of disciple or even some sort of Jesus kind of figure himself. And you see it, of course, when he consistently claims to be a victim in everything. Oh, they're attacking me, the bots and trolls, and they're after me, and the Fox News has gone south on me, or left, or southwest, or east, or, I don't know, Kim Kardashian west, or what, I don't know. Not a thing anymore, by the way. I know I'm a bit behind on the celebrity gossip, but again, he's not a victim. No, he's actually trying to destroy democracy because it didn't go his way. And by the way, let me just add that his crack-addled brain has been poisoned by people who only wanted his money. I mean, again, TYT's Jonathan Larson did an amazing, exhaustive report on this shadowy group called The Family, which sounds like super mafia-like. They're a group of incredibly wealthy conservative donors who go out there and recruit dupes like Mike Lindell and Donald Trump. And I think Ben Carson was there too. He might have been sleeping during that though. Or was it Herman Cain? I don't know. I think it's Ben Carson. Look, they do that and they bring these people in to, of course, push a very right-wing version of Christianity, which none of them actually believe in. Mixed in with, of course, hyper-capitalist economic feudalism, which is basically what libertarians in the far right are really pushing here. So now when you look at it that way, and you look at the influence of The Family and you read those reports, well, I mean, you find out that Lindell, in a way, is sort of a victim in that. Because he's just a stupid schlub who got taken advantage of just for his money. But that said, I'm not asking you to feel bad for Mike Lindell. I'm not feeling bad for Mike Lindell because as dumb as he is, he's still making the decision to believe in this stuff. And at the end of the day, that makes him an enemy to actual democracy because of what he's trying to do. All right. Let's go to Alex Jones. Don't cry me a pillow. I have to, you know what? I'm going to have to use that as a sidebar now. Alex Jones has had enough of former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, we all wish Trump would do the right thing. But listen, I've got the inside baseball on Trump. He doesn't know what's going on. And I'm not even defending Trump. I'm just saying we need to move on. In fact, maybe, you know what, to get Trump's attention, because I don't even get this from Roger Stone. I get this from people directly in Trump's camp. Maybe I should just dish all the dirt on. You know what? You know what? I'm going to dish it all on Trump next hour.
Oh, well, he's got the dirt. Oh, that's very interesting. Very interesting. In fact, now this is in response to Trump touting the vaccine on Candace Owens' show. So now look, I think that's probably the best thing he's ever done to hurt his own election chances with his own insane base. But also, by the way, great. I'll give him credit for touting the vaccine. Good. Now, again, ironic, right? So let's talk about the dirt. You got dirt on Donald Trump? Alex Jones, are you admitting that all along you had dirt on Trump? That proves that he is not the anointed right-wing savior that you believed? Well, that's very, very interesting, because it seems like you were, carrying water for Donald Trump when he had this supposed dirt. And by the way, I wouldn't be at all surprised if there is actual dirt on Donald Trump. And by the way, a lot of the dirt's already out in the open. We already know. I don't think there's anything that Alex Jones could find that would be that much worse. And by the way, if there is something somehow worse, like, for example, I don't know, open ties with Jeffrey Epstein, for example, and Alex Jones knew that and hid that from his followers, that would be an even bigger scandal on Alex Jones. So no matter what comes out of this, it generally, if anything comes out of it, wouldn't be good for Alex Jones either. So again, do you not realize that this makes you look bad? I mean, what are you hiding, bro? Why were you hiding it? What's going on? Very interesting. Now, of course, in the next video, he's going to backpedal just a slight bit. And then, of course, go back to just rampaging over Trump. So good.
I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's not to hurt Trump. It's so people can know how pathetic he is when you think he's playing 4D chess going to save you, and he's not. He's not a bad guy. But he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's surrounded by bad advisors, and he's got that multi-billion-dollar social media network based on Mastodon that they said is an original program. It doesn't even work, and there's all these SEC criminal investigations of it right now, and it's all falling apart. I wish Trump could go build a real network. I want Trump to have success. I'm not against Trump.
I'm not against Trump. I just completely trashed his website, which, by the way, he is correct about that. That website is just hot garbage. Hot trash. It's going to fail. But all that was, of course, and I've reported on this before, that's just a money grab. That's all it is. Get a bunch of people to invest in a shell corporation, steal all the money from it, after it merges, and then watch it tank. Watch it just flame out. But that's okay, because he's going to be rich. So there it is. But anyway, you can hear the strain, too, a little bit, where he's, like, trying to walk the line. He's like, I support Donald Trump. I have dirt on him, though. This failing, disastrous social media site, it's imploding, but, I want him to be successful, though. I really do. I love the contradiction. It's so good. Shouting Fred. Let me just say that I just really enjoy how anti-vax chuds and grifters are absolutely losing their shit over this entire thing. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. In fact, I want to show you a video here. This is last week. This is Candace Owens coming off of that disastrous interview where Donald Trump's like, oh, no, vaccine good. Actually, vaccine very good. And you were wrong. And so she's going to make the argument that Trump only said that because he's old.
You oftentimes forget like how old Trump is. He comes from a generation. I've seen other people that are older have the exact same perspective. Like they came from a time before TV, before internet, before being able to conduct their independent research, you know, and everything that they read in a newspaper, if that was pitched to them, like they believed that that was a reality. I believe also that he only reads the mainstream media news. Believe it or not, I do not believe that Trump reads or partakes in any other news sources. You know, I don't believe that Trump is on the internet.
Oh, I love it. And by the way, more recently, Candace Owens also started a feud with Meghan McCain, in which I actually take the side of Meghan McCain. I know, because Meghan McCain is like, oh, good. I hate Trump, but great. He's, you know, promoted the vaccine. That's a good thing. I agree with that. And then Candace Owens is like, well, that's because you're a fatty. And fat people die more from COVID than non-fat people like myself. So, yeah, she goes total fat shaming. Now, wait a minute. Donald Trump's also fat. Did you just shame Donald Trump? So not only has she called him old, but also indirectly called him fat. Congratulations. Well done, Candace Owens. You're doing fantastic, girl. You keep on, you get it. You keep on getting it, girl. Yeah, you go, Candace. I love it. It's so good. It's so good. And by the way, I also love that at the same time, she's talking about how Donald Trump is not on the internet and doesn't read the news and doesn't understand. She's also hawking a product that turns people blue. I'm not kidding. She is hawking colloidal silver. She's telling her Instagram followers, oh, I take like a teaspoon of colloidal silver every single day for COVID. No, you don't. First of all, if you take that much, I think there's a possibility of it turning your skin blue. By the way, that also has no effect on COVID-19, but it makes you blue. Because what, you would die if you were green? Is that how that song goes? It's been a while since I heard it. Now, here's the other thing, right? She says that, oh, well, you know, he's not on the internet, so he doesn't know the alternative cures. Dude, this is the guy that touted hydroxychloroquine and told people that they could inject bleach or put a light bulb in their ass. I mean, seriously. All right? Again, but here's the thing about Candace Owens. Grifter through and through. She makes a ton of money off anti-vax content. There is no way in hell that she takes colloidal silver. None at all. Not at all. No, she's vaccinated. It's a grift. She's vaccinated. Tucker Carlson's vaccinated. They're all vaccinated. By the way, the people that are telling you not to get vaccinated, they're all vaccinated. Why? Gee, I wonder why that is. Oh, right. It's because it works. It prevents serious illness and death among most COVID patients. The vast majority. So, but understand that they've got really stupid followers. And so these dumb people listen to Candace Owens. Well, they'll shell out money from their own pockets to either, you know, pay doctors that are unethical and willing to prescribe them things like ivermectin. Or if they are unable to pay off a doctor to prescribe them something that doesn't work, they'll hit the feed store for some horsey paste. And the reason that Candace Owens, again, is able to push this crap is because you have a very large contingent of unvaccinated Americans that are Republicans, that are right-leaning, that listen to people like Candace Owens. Again, according to a Kaiser Family Foundation analysis, Republicans and Republican-leaning independents now account for 60% of unvaccinated adult Americans. Yikes. So 60% of unvaccinated adults in this country are essentially right-wingers. Now, that said, are there people on the left that are unvaccinated? Yeah. In fact, there's always been an anti-vax contingent on the left as well. And if you can go back to my videos from all the way back in like 2014, 2015. By the way, don't, they're terrible. But, you know, even then, that was shitting on anti-vaxxers. But here on the right wing, though, it feels new. It's like they almost, you know, finally realized that if you can convince people into giving massive tax cuts to the rich by saying that will eventually trickle down on you, that ain't wealth, by the way. That ain't wealth that's trickling down. Or that being canceled somehow means anything if you're already wealthy. Hint, it does not. Then you're going to be apt to believe that sticking a light bulb up your ass will cure COVID. And we just so happen to have those very light bulbs for sale. What a lucky break. It's only $99.95 per bulb. Act now and we'll throw in a free jar of lube. I'm calling people who believe in these quack cures stupid. You know why? Because they are. And I'm sorry, but you know the old saying, right? A fool and their money are easily parted. Well, in this case, cranks like Alex Jones and Candace Owens, well, they're not the fools here. Who does that leave? A very powerful light. Indeed, it has to be a very powerful light. Inserted into the anus. I don't think he actually said put it up your butt. But he did say in the body. I think that was the quote, like put it in the body. Yeah. Light bulb in the anus. Moving on. Where in the world is Ron DeSantis? That's what a lot of people want to know, especially since Florida right now is in the midst of a bit of a crisis. You see, they are shattering records for new coronavirus infections, thanks to, of course, the Omicron variant. Now, according to the Washington Post, it's gotten pretty bad. The state on Wednesday reported 46,923 new cases from Tuesday as the Omicron surge nearly doubled Florida's previous peak over the summer, breaking the record for new daily infections that was just set on Christmas Eve. Now, Florida is now averaging more than 30,300 new coronavirus cases a day, according to data tracked by the Washington Post, which is second in the nation to New York. Now, there is one upside in the data that we've been seeing. So now Florida has about 63% of their population that's vaccinated. That's a good thing. And that's actually slightly above the national average, which is very, very strange. But again, the upside here is that while coronavirus cases have increased, deaths have decreased. That's good. Now, again, that's modern medicine. You've got people who are vaccinated. You also have treatments for the drug that are more effective than they used to be as well. But the problem, of course, now is that with so many cases, you now have hospitals that are being absolutely overloaded. And so that's what we're seeing now. These Omicron cases are still overloading hospitals with unvaccinated people. In fact, there was a story that came out, I forget where I saw it and where it was located. And so I wish I had that information like right now that I could recall it. But there was, so let's just take this as a grain of salt, like anecdotal. But what I did read is that there was a hospital where it finally happened. Somebody coded in a waiting room because the hospital was full of coronavirus patients. And I'm sure that's happened. I'm sure that's happened plenty of times by now, because you have so many unvaccinated people that are being put into the emergency room, into these COVID wards, and they're just full. And that was the whole point of masking and vaccinating, to make sure, and social distancing and not going to giant gatherings. It's not to, yes, it's to slow the spread and to make sure that we don't overload the hospital system. That's really the point. That's the point of the mandates. That's the point of the masks. That's the point of all of this. Because we know, COVID is essentially here to stay, unfortunately. And we've got these variants that continuously get more and more aggressive, more contagious, that are spreading around faster. And so, again, we have to, as a society, take some steps to kind of slow that down, to make sure our hospitals and our medical professionals don't get overloaded and people don't code in the waiting room, which obviously at this point, unfortunately, there are stories of that happening. Yet, one more thing here, just to show you the number of cases here in Florida. The number of cases this week has exploded by 182% compared with the previous 7-day period. Yikes. Now, while all of this is going on, Ron DeSantis is on a milk carton somewhere. We don't know where he's at. Now, I think, to be fair, yesterday he might have tweeted something at AOC from some undisclosed location. But, other than that, where's Ron DeSantis? Where is he? What happened? Now, again, he's getting criticism, obviously, from Democrats in Florida, but here's Orange County, Florida Mayor Jerry Demings. Earlier at a news conference this week, he said that counties have yet to receive funding for increased COVID testing during the holidays. So now there's reports of COVID, testing sites having lines about a mile long. So, yeah, disastrous. He also questioned why DeSantis has been largely absent during this period. Quote, "We have not received any assistance from the state of Florida at our testing sites. Our residents, all Florida residents, should be outraged, and they should ask the question, where is our state? Where is our governor? Where is Ron DeSantis now?" I don't know. That's a good question. Because, again, nobody's really seen him for a couple of weeks. In fact, the last public appearance he made was on December 17th. At a news conference. Oh, and he did appear on Fox News on December 19th, talking about how, he didn't get the booster. I mean, he got the normal shot, but he didn't get the booster. Interesting. Now, spokeswoman Christina Bashaw tweeted out and said, well, he's just on vacation. You're on vacation. During a gigantic emergency that is COVID. Now, I understand that, there are times where it's holidays, vacation, right? Vacation. Well, here's what Bashaw wrote. He has a wife and 3 kids, ages 1 to 5, and it's not surprising if he wants to take a few days off at Christmas to spend time with the family, especially as his wife is battling cancer. Okay, look, I'm not a terrible person. Some of you might disagree, but I'm not a completely unreasonable person. I get it. Every once in a while, you got to take a break, right? I totally get it. Now, did they extend that same courtesy to Pete Buttigieg when he decided to take paternity leave? No, of course not. Are you kidding me? No, they attacked constantly. Where's Pete Buttigieg? Pete Buttigieg! Why is he not there? Dude, he's got a staff. He'll be fine, right? And by the way, yes, is the supply chain a crisis? Yes, there are issues with the supply chain. Is that directly causing inflation? No. Inflation at this point is actually caused by corporate greed. And there are a lot of studies that an analysis of what's going on when you look at, for example, how much profit these corporations have been bringing in over the pandemic and how much aid they've received during the pandemic from the federal government. they've been raising their prices just because they can get away with it, because they're greedy POSs. But again, supply chain crisis, yes, technically I guess a crisis. Is it as important as a health crisis? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe so at all. I think the health crisis is much more disturbing, especially, if you're the governor of a state. And so, again, I think that at the very least, he could come out and give some general guidance and say things like, hey, I get vaccinated, everybody. Omicron is bad. It's terrible. We got to make sure that, you do your part so that our hospitals don't get, overflow or anything like that, so that we can take care of each other. Now, is Ron DeSantis going to do that? No, of course not, because he doesn't care enough to do that. It's going to interrupt my vacation. I don't want to do that. Screw all of you. No, I'm going to pull a Ted Cruz. I'm just going to leave. Look, it's also important to note that a lot of the policies that Ron DeSantis put into place contributed to this, blocking mask and vaccine mandates. One of the reasons, I think, behind the surge, along with, of course, Omicron, which is incredibly contagious. But yeah, basically his decisions help to exacerbate the crisis. And then after he does that, the guy just fucks off. He's like, see you later, losers. Vacation time. Woo! Hope you like COVID. I mean, again, maybe he tried to nope out because, you wanted to get away from the state and let the disaster blow over. It could have been that. Or there's another possibility. He got COVID. Did he get COVID? He might have gotten COVID. And if that happened, he really wouldn't want anybody to know. Maybe it's even severe COVID. No, I hope not. I'm not a terrible person. I don't wish that on anybody. But, if he did, I mean, that would be kind of ironic, wouldn't it? I think so. Either way, if you ask any questions of his spokesperson, Shaw, she will literally block you on Twitter. Oh my God, no, that's not at all suspicious. Not at all. Okay, all right. Fun times. Moving on. Let's go to Rand Paul. I'm wanting to do this story for a while. Senator Rand Paul has an interesting take on the definition of stealing an election. Because again, that's the narrative right now. The Democrats, they stole the 2020 election. That's what happened. They did it with the China vote, or they did it with drop boxes. But no, Rand Paul is going to say, goddamn Democrats, I can't believe they stole the election by letting people vote in a legal way. Here's what he wrote on Twitter. How to steal an election. Seeding an area heavy with potential Democratic votes with as many absentee ballots as possible during a pandemic, and targeting and convincing potential voters to complete them in a legally valid way, and then harvesting and counting the results. Y'all, literally, that's how voting works. Again, convincing people to vote for you and then collecting the ballots is, yes, it's called democracy. Literally, what you do. But of course, to Rand Paul, how voting works, how democracy works, no, that's not how it works to him. That's called stealing. that yes, stealing. How dare they convince people to vote for them and then actually give them the ability to vote? Huh? How dare you? Oh, such a terrible thing. No, they shouldn't be allowed to vote until unless they vote for me. That's the rule here. Goddamn. Now, but here's the thing. You might think that it sounds crazy that to really illustrate that they're against democracy. But it's true. The Republican plan has been for decades to not let people vote. Again, all the way back to Paul Weyrich. Now, Paul Weyrich is the godfather of the modern conservative movement and the creator of a lot of different shady right-wing organizations that have been working to undermine democracy. And so I'm going to show you a video here. This is all the way back in the 80s of Weyrich admitting that, yes, their plan is to make sure that less people vote.
Now, many of our Christians have what I call the goo-goo syndrome. Good government. They want everybody to vote. I don't want everybody to vote. Elections are not won by a majority of people. They never have been from the beginning of our country, and they are not now. As a matter of fact, our leverage in the elections, quite candidly, goes up as the voting populace goes down.
And there it is. I mean, it can't be more clear. There's the right-winger admitting that, yeah, no, I don't believe in democracy. I don't want people voting. I don't want anybody voting unless they vote for us. That's it. The less people voting that we have, the more that we win. That's it. I mean, again, they prove it over and over again. And by the way, this is not the first guy that has openly admitted it. Trump's admitted it. Rand Paul admitting it, essentially, by saying that actual voting is stealing. That's what it is. It is fascism. And so, you know, you have the voter suppression, you have the purges, you have the, all of that, the long waiting lines, the removing of polling places and primarily Latino or Democratic heavy areas. That's all part of the plan. And you add to it the nonsensical claims about voter fraud, which constitutes a whopping 0.00004% of all total votes cast. It is an astronomically small amount, inconsequential, the amount of in-person voter fraud there actually is. But then again, you have the propaganda against, we can't have the ballot boxes, we can't have, because they're not secure. They're not secure. Who's going to break into a ballot, a voter drop box? Really? Really? And then, of course, they talk about, the ballot harvesting. You mean you send out a bunch of ballots and people will fill them out if they want to vote, and then they send them back. And then you have people that are designated to collect them. That's all ballot harvesting is. It's just an easier way to have democracy, which we should be making democracy more easy to participate in. But again, that's not their plan. They don't want that. They want it to be much more difficult. And it's all in an effort to stop certain people from voting. And by the way, on January 6th, you want to talk about stealing? They literally did try to steal it. And by the way, I'm not talking about the rioters either. No. So now Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro literally sat there and schemed together on how to end democracy in this country. And they had this plan that was cooked up called the Green Bay Sweep. Now, it's a sports analogy, essentially, your sports term. Okay? And that term basically involves running the same play over and over again. Now, according to Navarro's memoir, the plot sought to keep Trump in office by exerting maximum pressure on Vice President Mike Pence to block the certification of the Electoral College votes from swing states by drawing up the proceedings on national television for as long as 24 hours. So delay, because Pence will say, I don't know, we got so much fraud, I refuse to certify, even though it's a ceremonial role. I'm going to refuse to certify, and I'm just going to sit on it, because I'm just not sure. I hear about all this fraud. And then they do a constant news cycle, because everybody's going to be focused on it. And in that news cycle, they put out propaganda. sowing doubt about the election, and this is what happened about the same time that, there were these recounts that, again, were happening all across the country, in the states, doing the constant recounts and constant court challenges and things like that. That was supposed to dominate the news cycle. And with the propaganda, and all of that is to convince not just the people, not just the voters, which, by the way, the voters, they know who they voted for, more of them voted for Joe Biden than they did Donald Trump. And so, but it's meant to sow confusion and then allow for these states to go and recall their electors and appoint ones who will then vote for Donald Trump and then such destroy democracy by installing an illegitimate president. Simple as that. And so there would be no inauguration in the meantime, by the way, if they had done that, which means Trump would effectively remain president in their eyes. And again, those states would be able to change their electors without people complaining. And then you have a stolen election. That's it. Now, it failed. Good, because we still have a democracy, as small as it is, and as imperiled and troubled as it is. But the institutions held. Now, it failed partly because of the rioters, but also, again, mainly because of Mike Pence. To his credit, Mike Pence refused to steal an election for Donald Trump. I know, damning with faint praise. But at this point, it's like, can you believe that it was Mike Pence that was a person, one of the people who stood on the side of democracy? Weird. And the reason I say that is because Mike Pence most certainly knew the plan. He knew what he was supposed to do. Trump kept telling him, Mike Pence, where are you, Mike Pence? You're supposed to do the thing. It's all up to you, Mike Pence. And for a lot of people were wondering, why is he saying that about Mike Pence? Just a ceremonial role. Well, it turns out it's all part of the Green Bay sweep. It's all part of this plan, which Trump obviously knew of. And Bannon, and here's Bannon and Navarro literally telling people, yes, this was our plan to steal democracy. But yeah, Mike Pence was the quarterback in their analogy. Now, Navarro wrote this, quote, Pence had blown the play and secured his place in history as the Brutus most responsible for the final betrayal of President Trump. They had 100 senators on board. Or I'm sorry, not senators, congressmen. And he said, quote, it was a perfect plan. We had over 100 congressmen committed to it. The political and legal beauty of this strategy is that the challenges would force up to 2 hours of debate per state in each chamber of Congress in order to push that propaganda. So now, January 6th Commission. You need evidence? Well, here's your evidence. Peter Navarro literally admitting it in his book. They're out there stupidly announcing their plans to usurp the country and end democracy as we know it. Now, here's the thing. Do you think they're going to stop or not try again? Again, they're openly admitting it. So, of course, they'll try again. If nobody does anything to stop them, if you don't put a stop to it, they're going to try it again, and they might actually succeed if they have someone who is willing to play ball. Now, Rand Paul is openly talking about, how voting is stealing an election. But here you have Peter Navarro, a member of the Trump administration, Bannon, a former member of the Trump administration. Well, they're both former members, but at the time that he was doing this, that he was penning this, was a part of the Trump administration, part of the government, saying, here's the plan to overthrow the government. And you had other members in office who were joining in that. You had people like spineless worm Ted Cruz, Paul Gosar, man who's literally so unhinged that his entire family pleaded with people, pleaded with them, please don't vote for this insane person. We know him. He's our brother. He's crazy. Do not vote for him. And others. And the point of this is that, look, if the Democrats don't take action against this, what do you think the right wing is going to do? We can get away with it. Sure, we might have failed the first time, but they didn't try to stop us for a second time because they're too weak and they're feckless and they're not going to do anything to protect democracy. That's really sad. And if they're too weak to put a stop to this blatant attempt at theft, why wouldn't they do it again? Why wouldn't they do it again? And so, look, to them, by the way, the Republicans, it's not stealing. As Rand Paul just said, voting and participating in democracy for them is stealing, because when that happens, when people vote, they tend to lose. So the Democrats, take a look. This is their plan. This is what they're going to do. For God's sakes, pay attention. Up to it. Protect democracy like you thought you're supposed to. All right. Moving on. So this is a depressing story. So I'll keep it brief. All right. A QAnon believer who killed his own children because he believed that they were filled with serpent DNA is in prison and is feeling a few regrets. Well, I mean, you know, I would hope so. Now, this is 40-year-old Matthew Taylor Coleman, and he was arrested after allegedly stabbing his two children to death with a spearfishing gun back in August. So he's been arrested, he's in prison, and it's apparently feeling some hopelessness. He's not having a good time. In fact, he's having a terrible time. Now, how would we know that? It's because there was apparently a longtime family friend whom Coleman reached out to from prison and sent a letter. And so let me read this account from this family, longtime family friend who only agreed to be referenced as such to keep them anonymous. Quote, "He's alone with his thoughts 24/7. He's reflecting on the mistakes he made in life and wondering if there's any chance for redemption. He poured out his heart. He begged for forgiveness, but says that he's now where he deserves to be." Well, I mean, I couldn't agree more that he is where he deserves to be. Now, in the criminal complaint, FBI Special Agent Jennifer Bannon wrote that Coleman had claimed to be enlightened by QAnon and the Illuminati conspiracy theories, and said that he was receiving visions and signs revealing that his wife, only known as AC, saying that she had possessed serpent DNA and that it had been passed down to his children. Bannon wrote, M. Coleman stated that he had believed his children were going to grow into monsters, so he had to kill them. Well, I think we know who the monster here is, and it ain't the children. Now, the bodies of those children, look, I mean, this is a horrible story all around. They were two years old and 9 months, respectively. They were found at a ranch near Rosarito in Baja California, where he had taken them without telling his wife where he was going, and then proceeded to murder them. So these two kids are dead. You can't take that back. They're dead because of insane conspiracy theories and a person who believed them enough to take the lives of their children. Wasn't QAnon supposed to protect children? I thought that was their whole thing, right? Oh, we got to protect the kids from the, Hollywood pedophile rings and, all that. And well, here you have a QAnon believer killing his children. I mean, apparently it doesn't count if they're part lizard to them. I mean, it's horrible. But like, here's the thing, though. The ultimate lesson, it's not to dunk on this guy. Because even though what he did was horrifying, and there's no redemption for this guy. But this is, I think, part of what happens when insane conspiracies are allowed to flourish online, or at least given platform to flourish. All right? You see it in many different cases. You see it with the, QAnon believers breaking into pizza shops and pointing guns at people, thinking that they're saving the children in the basement when there wasn't a basement. Nobody's cooking and eating children. All right? Now, that said, there are real monsters in this world. Ghislaine Maxwell just got, convicted 5 out of 6 charges of sex trafficking for Jeffrey Epstein. And so, I mean, there are monsters in this world. Epstein was one of them. Ghislaine Maxwell is another one of them. Those are the real pedophiles. Where's QAnon on this one? Where are they? Oh, it's because, Epstein, Trump might have had a little bit of a relationship with Epstein, a friendly relationship. So Trump might have known something, and God forbid, he might have even, been involved with some of that, some of those trafficked girls, children. But, we're not gonna talk about that, says the right wing. No, we're not gonna focus on any of that. We're just gonna make things up. We're gonna make things up about, Hillary Clinton eating babies to stay young, or something like that. Well, good job on that one, right? She don't look young. Let's just say that. And that's okay, though. People get old. The conspiracy theories make absolutely no sense. But again, these people believe in these conspiracy theories, and people end up dying or being hurt, or even being defamed as a result of these conspiracy theories. And it's funny because the people who make these things up, well, they never feel any of the consequences of their lies. The ones who spread these things. And I think that a lot of this could be avoided if some people would just touch some grass. Go outside. Go away. Get away from the conspiracy theorists. Don't fall in the hole of QAnon. But also, by the way, it would also help if these, conspiracy theorists didn't have such large reaches and platforms and algorithms that help them to spread disinformation. Maybe if they had some sort of measures against that. And I'm not saying we should censor everything. No, what I'm saying is there's got to be a line here. If you're spreading nonsense that is going to lead to hurting people, then yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just saying that maybe things have been different. His children would still be alive. Maybe that. So at the end of the day, though, again, I hope this guy's feeling pretty shitty behind bars. He should. Now, that longtime friend also told People magazine, quote, he said he's sorry, that he never wanted to cause pain, and that he's working through why he made the choices he made. It was a very sad note. Well, I'm sorry, but again, I don't feel bad for him. What is sad, what's the real sad thing, is the birthdays these children will never see. The milestones, the good things that they might have done for this world. But they can't, because their idiot father murdered them over a conspiracy theory. I hope one day that this man comes to the realization that he did something heinous for nothing, for just bullshit, and that they died because he's a bad person. One more story. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention recently changed its position on quarantines after the CEO of an airliner sent them a letter. So now the newest CDC guidelines have shortened the isolation period for those with COVID-19 from 10 days to just 5 days. So now CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said that this decision was following the science. Oh yes, it's the science. However, it's also in part to keep the critical functions of society open and operating. Meaning, of course, essentially business. Business. But here's the rest of her quote. We started to see challenges with airline flights and other areas. We started first by doing the healthcare workers last week to make sure that we could keep our hospitals functioning safely and open. The CDC says its decision is based on the science showing the majority of COVID-19 illness gets passed around the first few days of the infection. However, while public experts say that yes, sure, that seems to be true for the most part, there's also a chance, though, that transmission to others can happen after the 5-day period. And so it would be better to keep the 10-day as opposed to going to the 5-day. You're reducing the risk. Now, I think it'd be a great thing to reduce the risk, especially at the time where Omicron is ravaging the country. I mean, again, we are seeing record cases. Shouldn't we, maybe do something about that? But no, the CDC says, get back to normal. We give up. Go back to work. So now the real reason for the change, of course, as I just mentioned, the CDC's decision came just days after Delta Airlines CEO sent Walensky a letter advocating for a shorter isolation period. In the letter, CEO Ed Bastian, along with the airline's medical advisor and chief health officer, asked Walensky to consider shortening the isolation period to 5 days for those who experience breakthrough infection. With the rapid spread of Omicron variant, the 10-day isolation for those who are fully vaccinated may significantly impact our workforce and operations, the Delta officials write. The airline was among several in the U.S. that experienced thousands of cancellations over Christmas weekend, in part because airline staff were calling out sick with COVID-19. Maybe it's because, we have the Omicron variant that is infecting a lot of people. And of course, you have people that are jamming themselves into little tiny metal tubes that are flying. And maybe that's not a good thing. Maybe that's like kind of a bad thing when you have a pandemic going on. Weird. Now, instead of trying, of course, to keeping employees safe and doing the quarantines as they're supposed to, they're just saying, we give up. Let's just send everybody back to work. Screw it. We're done. We're done being cost money. Because again, follow the money. They're saying, I don't care. Go get back to work. I'm losing cash. Hey, I don't care that you can still spread it after 5 days. I'm sorry, it's Christmas. I gotta make money. Travel season. You don't understand. Now, of course, this has got the flight attendants that are not happy about this. And flight attendants and other groups, union groups, and other medical experts are also calling this out. But let's go to Sarah Nelson, president of the Association of Flight Attendants. She says that this puts her workers at risk and is also concerned that there is an emphasis in the new guidelines on only protecting the economy over public health. Quote, the problem is that we're admitting that we're going to put infectious people back into the workforce or on our planes. We're very concerned about this, and we're pressing the airlines to have a much better policies than what the CDC is giving us. Well, now that's the problem here. The pandemic response has always prioritized getting back to work, getting back to normal over human lives. And that's it. Again, let me let me go back to pointing out that this country never really had a proper lockdown. We had a couple of weeks of like a semi-lockdown, like, oh, you should stay in your homes, blah, blah, blah. A couple weeks, and then we'll give you a $1,400 check. We'll give you a $1,200 check here. We'll give you a $600 check here, and you're good. Yeah, you know what? We're done with this. Let's get back to work. All right, everybody back to the mines. Let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And so, again, what's interesting is that we actually did most of that lockdown under Trump. Biden has refused to do any sort of lockdown, leaving it up to the states, essentially. Now, understand that both parties, they serve the interests of capital, who absolutely, if the choice was, left up to them between short-term profit and pushing a button that maybe has a 25 to 50% chance of dropping your family into a meat grinder, what do you think the CEOs would do? They pushed the button. They'd push the button. Of course they would push the button, because it's never been about, for business interests, saving lives. It's always been about saving the economy and their profit margins. And look, I'm tired of it. And let me just say that, look, Joe Biden has not done a great job on COVID. Now, part of that, I concede, it's not all of his fault. I mean, look, you have the anti-vax right wing that's absolutely driving these cases for sure. You have Republican governors that refuse to do mandates that are driving this for sure. Ron DeSantis is a great one of them, right? All that stuff, yes, there's stuff that's absolutely out of Biden's control. However, what Biden could do, the Biden administration could do, is have a more robust federal response. Now, we've had a federal response, but it's actually been pretty, I think, reactionary and a little weak. Because what they said basically is, well, go get the vaccine. Yeah, that's a great idea. But then they said, get the vaccine, go back to work. Okay, but what about those not able to get the vaccine? What about those who are still immunocompromised, in which the vaccine offers some protection, but still not enough? What about, all the different variants that have been popping up because of private pharmaceutical companies that have been allowed to hold on to their patents so that they can continue to make money off them instead of allowing them to be freely distributed to the world? Now, I remember Biden talking about releasing the patents. Oh, we're going to release the patents. We're going to release the patents. They never did. They never released the patents. Well, they did. And yes, they have donated, 5 million vaccines or 500,000 vaccines to other countries. But everyone needs to be vaccinated. We need as many people, again, not just in America, but in other countries as well. Again, Omicron came from South Africa. Imagine if the people in South Africa had been all vaccinated. But no, pharmaceutical companies wanted to hold on to the patents because, hey, well, look at that. We just want to make more money off this. And we want governments to buy it from us instead of being able to manufacture their own. Now, our government, the reason that we get it for free is because our government has been buying the vaccine from these big pharmaceutical companies, even though public money was already directed towards the development of the vaccines. So we've already paid for it. It's greed. It always goes back to greed for these corporations. And so understand that, by the way, this is how we get more variants. This is how we got Delta. This is how we got Omicron. I don't want to see what's coming down the pike next. But the point is, Biden has refused to challenge corporate profits. Now, we didn't expect Donald Trump to do that. No, Donald Trump's a sociopath. You couldn't care less. But Joe Biden, again, the biggest promise that he has lived up to is the promise that he made to his donors. Nothing will fundamentally change. And, well, he was right about that. That's the biggest problem here. This pandemic has exposed some very real flaws in our entire system. Now, Donald Trump took advantage of those flaws to stuff his pockets full of cash. Incredibly corrupt. Not just corrupt, but also cruel. He did actual cruelty to people in need. Biden, however, Biden's not, I don't think Biden's capricious or he's cruel. I just think that he's so enamored with the status quo. And so that's what he returned to. Let corporations, let the states handle this. It's fine. It's fine. They could do that. I mean, his exact quote is that, quote, there is no federal solution. This gets solved at the state level. It gets down to where the rubber meets the road, where the patient needs help or preventing the help that we need. Now, that's all well and good unless you live in Florida, for example, or Texas, or any place where Republicans run the government, which is at least half the country. Do you think a state response is going to match the power of a federal response in the hands of Republicans? No, not at all. This has to be a federal response. Because again, the states are both unwilling in a lot of cases or don't have the resources of the federal government. And not only that, but again, in the places where Republicans are running it, well, look, they don't care about reducing the cases. No. They actually care. It seems like they want to have increased cases to make Joe Biden look bad. So that they can say, oh, look, pandemic, worse under Joe Biden, elect a Republican. But wait, Republicans are kind of how we got to this place in the first place. But again, Biden not doing what he should be doing. Biden, and this is what I said all along, Biden was just never the man to meet the moment. He really wasn't. I know that a lot of voters were looking for somebody who could just beat Donald Trump. But I kept saying all along, that there's got to be more than that. You can't just look for someone to defeat Donald Trump and then do nothing. Because at the end of the day, you're going to end up getting Donald Trump or worse. No, you have to do something that was willing to do something, big and bold. And we just don't have that. We just don't have that. And again, I understand that there are different extraneous factors. There's Congress, there's Manchin and Sinema. There's, again, Republicans that will block anything and everything. That's why you have to even have a stronger response to overcome those challenges. And Biden was never going to be the guy to meet those challenges. He's never going to be the big, bold person that we needed, the big, bold leader that we needed to actually not just defeat Trump, but lead us to a better place afterwards. And we do not have that in Joe Biden. So that said, as much as I'm dismayed about Biden and the fact that he is not meeting the moment and never was going to, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair to compare his response to Donald Trump's. Because let me just give you some, examples of what Trump was doing that's worse than Joe Biden. Because again, as disappointed as we are in Joe Biden, you can't make the fallacy of equivocating these two. All right. Now, the Trump administration, remember, dropped testing plans for blue states specifically because they thought, well, that would help my re-election chances. All the COVID's happening in the blue states anyway. That's going to hurt them. It's going to help us. They funneled shell companies or money to shell companies that claimed to provide services that were not actually companies at all. They were just shams. It was just a scam. But people made money. People close to Donald Trump made money from it. Jared Kushner, remember when he told the states to fight against each other for PPE? And then later on, the administration then swooped in and would outbid the states on PPE. The Trump FDA was allowed to be overloaded by junk projects from Trump loyalists that were in there trying to make a buck. And basically, the amount of those projects sidetracked the FDA from doing pandemic response. They interfered in CDC operations to downplay COVID. Trump got COVID himself, downplayed it, lied about it, didn't talk about getting the vaccine. He lied about the severity to the public while telling Bob Woodward how deadly and dangerous it is. We know all this. Now, again, I understand getting, upset when Biden does not have a good pandemic response. Again, I agree that his pandemic response has been fairly weak. But while Biden's not meeting the moment, Trump did far worse. Trump's response was different and much worse in different ways. His response was selfishness and ego, and a complete disregard in human life, and a delight in cruelty. Biden is just one of those bumbling, get back to normal, get back to business. And that's really all it was, Ben. But under Biden, it just seems like their message is get vaccinated, wear a mask, and then we give up. Just, that's your problem now. I mean, again, do you remember Jen Psaki's pretty terrible response to being asked about testing? Now, we have a testing issue in this country. We don't have enough tests. And so a reporter asked her, Jen Psaki, hey, why don't we just give tests for free? I mean, we've got this issue where, we need to get more tests out. And the question is who's going to pay for them, et cetera. And she's like, well, we'll get the insurance and then we'll have them do a rebate. We'll do all this tricky stuff. And this reporter, and I forget her name, unfortunately, she says, look, wouldn't it just be easier to send everybody a free test? Oh, we won't. No, we can't send everybody free tests. And then what happened later on, the Biden administration said, oh, right, free tests. We should send those out. They don't know what they're doing. Now, again, the CDC changing their guidelines basically is to protect business, corporations. And it's an example of the establishment way of thinking and how they're, of course, always going to put the economy at large over human lives. Again, that's not the way that it should be. We should be putting human lives first. Both approaches from Democrats and Republicans have not been great, but also they have not been equal. And so what we really need is to have a real response to these crises that are bigger and bolder and better. And I'm more convinced than ever, and I said this back during the primary, that Joe Biden was just not the guy for that. He's never been one to be able to do big, bold, or even that much better of things. And so what we need is bigger, bold leadership. And unfortunately, at this point, we don't have them. We just don't have it. All right. Biden ran one on COVID with the help of the CDC and Fauci. So give the CDC some credit. The lab leak. Are you lab leak conspiracy theorist? Do we have one of those in the chat? Fun times. Of course. All right. That's all I've got for today. Thank you for going around the nation beat today. Let's see. Read some super chats here before we go. Oh, wow, it actually works. Daniel Banco says, Ron, it's COVID like that other missing GOPer. Which one? Which one's missing? Also says, what's that amendment that kicks members out of Congress for planning an insurrection? Why are Democrats not enacting it? Well, I have the simple answer for that. I believe it's the 14th. And I believe the Dems are not enacting it because they're unfortunately too weak. What will Fox News say? They've always been weak on those issues. Gabby Mathis, thank you for the very kind super chat. Madi Darno says, I left a country that went through a revolution, coup, insurrection, and back to hard authoritarianism. Just in time to witness the rise of Grump. Fascists must be resisted or it will get much worse. Dangle Bangle adds, reminder that Garland is pushing to defend Trump in the Carroll case. Eugene Carroll, right? Garland defenders are super quiet and are apologetic about that, depending on the peep. So interesting stuff there as well. Look, our Department of Justice, kind of weak. Very sad. Gabby Mathis says, Happy New Year to the nation, fam, and friends. Well, Happy New Year to you as well. Hopefully you have a great night and a great weekend. Gabby Mathis says also, we only had one choice to get 45 out. I wish we could have had Bernie. Yeah, and look, understand that that's why, and it was a very unpopular decision for people who are streamers to be like, look, hey, we got one choice. Primary's over. Probably vote for Joe Biden. Not my favorite person, but we got to do it. And that's what I did. And so I got to, I get endless shit for it. I don't really care. It's a tactical decision. Doesn't mean I support everything that they do or everything that they've done. And it also doesn't mean that I can't criticize them, because I absolutely do criticize them. And so you take, the way that I look at this is that the primaries are really the only opportunity to get something in there that you might actually like. And that's why primaries, right? In the general election, it's already too late. You're basically stuck with it. And it sucks. That's why we need to change that system as well, because I don't like it being the way that it is. But it has to change. But until that change happens, we're really kind of stuck here. And so, glad I voted green. My conscience is clean. I don't really care about the conscientious part. Like, it just, I don't care. Honestly, I have no qualms about doing this, about tactical voting. I really don't. So I don't even, and I don't look at voting as a feel-good thing, right? It's not a feel-good thing. It's what's going to minimize harm, at least in my opinion. And of course, things don't always turn out that way, obviously. But that's the way that I approached this election, and basically how I approach every election. What do I think is going to do less harm? And that's really it. There's no feelings involved here. It's just a rational, tactical decision. That's it. All right. Jump James was something I can't read because it's German. And I'm not good with German. But thank you anyway. And then Anonymous says, Happy New Year's, everyone. It's been great being on vacation. You can see you all during these live shows again. Much love to you all. Well, thank you, Anonymous. Appreciate that. All right. I catch crap too. I listened to Bernie and he knows what he's doing. HRC wouldn't have been my choice either, but it wouldn't have been Rump in a million years, says Cats and Jam. Yeah. Again, that's what we did. And no, I wouldn't do anything different. That's what it is. Wouldn't do anything different. Because it's not about my fifis, right? It's not about feelings. It's not like, oh, but I'm tainted if I vote for such a person. No, it's a tactical decision. It's a vote. Somebody's going to win. At least I'm going to try to make the person that I think will do less harm win. That's it. Kamala approval at 28%. Oh, Kamala Harris is, she couldn't even win her own state. Disastrous. I don't live in a swing state. Voting green was an easy decision for me. Oh, yeah. Okay, I get that. Yeah, I'll allow it. Yeah, if you're in a swing state, it doesn't really matter as much. So, there's that. But if you're in a swing state, then, yeah, I would encourage voting tactically. That's it. All right. Anyway, that's all I got. I got to get out of here. I got to do some editing and get these clips up. So, hopefully you all have a really good night. And, you know, and enjoy the New Year's. Happy New Year, everybody. We'll see you on in 2022. We should be back on Monday since we haven't had any problems with the stream. So that's good. Yes, successful stream. Finally. All right. Thank you. Love you all. And remember, change begins with you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you on Monday, 2022.
Now, many of our Christians